Victoria's Secret's model, breast cancer thriver, Christine Handy with mullet champion, proud flatty, Sears, flat out secrets.
So Christine, today we have a friend, Megan, of mine. I met her actually at a fashion show here in Indianapolis.
Yes.
And she's like, I'm flat. And I was like, me too. So I know she's had, a lot of people struggle with their body afterwards and stuff like that. I mean, a lot. And so you are very body positivity. And I think, you could possibly help us, with a lot of people in this community that do have those struggles. And so I thought she would be a great first guest to have on.
Awesome.
So welcome, Megan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Glad to join you.
How long have you, why don't you tell us a little bit about your cancer journey?
Sure. So I was diagnosed I found the lump at my annual exam in October of 2021. And then got my diagnosis back mid-November of that year and didn't wait too very long. I kind of went back and forth on my decision for about a week and a half and then scheduled my double mastectomy for that December. So I've been flat since December of 2021. After my mastectomy, I had my chemo and radiation through most of last year. I had 16 courses of chemo and 25 radiation courses. And then I had a hysterectomy in August of last year because I was estrogen receptive or responsive. And then just wanted to reduce that recurrence risk as low as possible. So that's about where I am on my journey as far as my cancer treatment goes. That was the last step.
Let me just say this. We all say this so casually, like, oh, I went through 16 rounds.
Yeah.
I went through 25 this radiation. I had a double mastectomy and I don't know, like
nothing.
Just listing it like a grocery list, which is ridiculous, right? I mean, it's so ridiculous. I was, I'll go back to the film for a minute. I was we usually do a Zoom on Mondays for the production and the director. And yesterday on the Zoom, I put this on my Instagram story today. One of the EPs, one of the executive producers says to the director, well, what are we going to do for the main character as far as well-being and emotional well-being? Because this actor is going to obviously have to lose their hair and have to lose a considerable amount of weight from the beginning of the film, towards the end. And I said, wait, what? wait. Let me get this straight. The person who's going to play me as an actress who is getting paid for an incredible role, right? I mean, this is a role of a lifetime because of the transformation.
Yeah.
We are worried and concerned about her emotional well-being. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong at all. Yeah. How about we do that for the patients?
Right.
How about we start there?
Well, and that's the biggest thing. And that's what Flat Out Love has become, because all the Comans and all these people raise money for a cure. Unfortunately, I don't see that coming anytime soon. But we stop when we go into remission, people are like, oh, you're fine. And forget about us kind of thing. Right. And so there are so many other things that people don't think about. And mental health within this is a big thing. Yes, I would say.
Of course. Absolutely. And so that's why I was like, yeah, let's figure this out. And it just reminded me, which is what you started with, which was, oh, I did 16 rounds of chemo. I'm flat. I'm this and that. It's like, it's so in a way dismissive how we list it. And I do the same thing. I mean, I get interviewed all the time and people say, well, okay, what stage were you in? What this and that? I'm like, this is heavy stuff.
I think it's a way that we compartmentalize it all. If we just make it a list where we're just like ticking things off boxes, like I've gotten through this part and that part. And so those are done. and I can move on to the next part. And you just start breaking it down into phases, and you're like, okay, well, let's move on to the next part, because you have to, because otherwise the weight of it would be overwhelming.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. How old are you, or how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I will be 37 in May. So I was 35 at the time of my diagnosis. Yeah, I found the lump and was waiting for feedback on like October 12th, and had to go to my son's 5th birthday on October 16th in a pumpkin patch. And so I'm trying to just stay focused on these little kids running around, while at the same time figure out what I'm going to do with my forward momentum. Like, I'm going to have surgery, I'm going to have treatment. What are we going to do with all these other options that are on the table? It was a lot at that moment.
Yeah. And it's a lot of the decisions that you have to make are intense, obviously.
Yeah.
And like a friend said, she's like, it's like you're in a hurricane, because it's just all this stuff going, and it's quick. You got it. It's like this. After the waiting game, that waiting game of getting the diagnosis from when you get, that's horrible. But then after that, it's just like go, go, go.
Right.
Seems
Sure.
like, and
Wow.
everything's just coming at us. So
I'm sorry.
It, I
Sorry.
don't know what there is to be sorry about. It's just kind of the journey that I'm on. So we embrace it and move forward as positively as possible. I think if I
Yeah.
don't face it positively, then what other option is there but to just lay down and be sad about it? So that really wasn't an option for me.
Well, I mean, I think we want to talk about body positivity, and it's interesting from my perspective, because I've been a model. We talk about this, or I get asked about this a lot, for so many years. And so my external value was so important to me for so long. And it's interesting that I'm so out and open about, on New York Fashion Week and with Victoria's Secrets, et cetera, in these brands, because I mean, I don't negate my beauty because my breasts were amputated. I am beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. And it's more of it's an internal, like prowess. Like, I know who I am. I know what I represent. But it's such a dichotomy from, being so heavily dependent on what I look like for so many years in the modeling space, to now be in the exact same space with the scars and with the flat chest, and not being heavily dependent on the external, more dependent on my internal prowess, my internal voice. Right.
Yeah.
And so so you said in the beginning, Lisa, about how, you take from me this body positivity. And I just think to myself, I don't know how I could live without being completely in love with what I look like, whatever it is. I don't know how I could do that. And I had recently, and I live in Miami, so it's a very inclusive environment, and people don't stare at me, and they're just like, whatever. And I love that. But I've been spending a lot of time in a different city, which is not that way. And recently somebody was I had a really, really tight tank top on, really fitted, in a yoga class. And this woman just could not stop staring at me. And after a while, it got kind of frustrating. Like, okay, have you not seen enough? And like, and I felt like, that's so sad that we live in communities, or we are around communities of people, that if you have like a handicapped, or if you have like, something different, that there's this, like, I'm assuming it's judgment, because she couldn't stop staring, but this kind of awe of, oh my gosh, like this person didn't react very well. So I actually put it again on my Instagram, because it's something we should talk about. I'm sure that everybody has gone through this, right? And it's an important conversation. How do you respond? What do you say? Right?
well, and I catch myself staring because I'm trying to see if they're flatty so I could talk to them. I do. You're correct. I catch myself staring more at boobs now than I did before. It's odd, but yeah. And but I'll go up to them if I think they're flat, but it is people, if you look different, and that's why with me, with my hair and everything else, I don't give a shit. I can't, I have a mullet.
Right. Okay,
So,
wait,
and I
wait.
think that
I gotta go. I have to interrupt you. Have you ever gone up to somebody who hasn't been flat and you've said, "Are you flat?"
no, I haven't. But usually, there was a comedian and she was on stage and I kept going. I Googled it because she was so flat, and she wasn't. But I will ask sometimes if I'm not 100% sure. I'll say, "Are you a survivor?"
Right.
So
Yeah.
So
just
that's
to
how you
see.
ask. Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, depending. Or I'll just be like a lady the other day. I was like, "Oh, are you flatty?" And she's like, "Yeah," But I always have my flat out love stuff to give them because I know people need
Oh, that's
this.
sweet.
Because like you had asked me, is there a therapist that specializes in breast cancer and flatties? And I'm like, well, honestly, the thing of it is, they're not going to totally get it if they aren't a flatty. And I
Yeah.
don't think you can totally. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. So that's why I think this is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a difficult, like, just to reach out and ask you that question, because I was like, I don't know what the resources are available to me in this particular scenario,
Mhm.
because you can't just Google flatty specific therapists. It's a very niche
Yes.
genre of therapy. So I was like, well, maybe Lissa has the you know little black book of resources in this area.
Well, we kind of do. Between all of us, we have some resources, but I mean, it's hard, for a therapist. Get a therapist. It's great. I have a great therapist, but she doesn't 100% get this because nobody can. I have a lot of survivor friends. They can't get this totally.
Yeah.
They're not an amputee at the end of the day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's different. It is totally different. And it's hard, but being in the group, I think has really it's been very helpful for me because seeing all these people that feel the same way. And I think that's
Yeah.
huge, and I'm proud of you for reaching out because it is hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
So,
Are you in the group?
excuse me.
I've been in the Facebook group
Right.
for probably the duration or the length of time since I had my surgery. I started looking it up early on when I was getting ready to make my decision, just in terms of I was looking at photos of women who had had the surgery so that I could kind of visualize what it was going to look like when I had my surgery. I looked for women with my specific body type. I'm a very
Yeah.
straight and narrow, not a lot of curves in the first place. I was on the itty bitty titty committee before this started. So, there wasn't a lot going on there. And I just needed to know, what's it look like when you change from this
Yes.
to that?
Mm.
And so I've been in the Facebook group for a while, but I'm going to my first dinner tomorrow.
That's nice.
I'm glad you're going to
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
great that you guys have such a big community there.
well, they have different groups in different cities now that are doing meetups, because we actually did a map in the group.
Yes.
Not this, but we
Yes.
did an actual digital map where you could post where you were, and we have them all over the world posted. But we broke it because we have so many people on it now, and it doesn't have the background, so you can just put like a city in, and you can see people around you and look at their names. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we crashed it. We're getting a website built, so we'll have a better one because it really does. They've done different flatty meetup groups because of it, which it is important to connect.
Yes.
Even online is good, but I mean, in person, it's when you get that first flatty hug, it's an incredible thing. So
Oh, that's
I'm
sweet.
glad you're good. It is. I mean, you've had a flatty hug, haven't you, Christine?
Have I met anybody in person? No. But I'm not really, it was funny. I was talking to somebody who is also in the breast cancer space. She's also flat. She lives in LA and she's in the entertainment industry. And she said to me, she does a lot of walks. So she's around a lot of breast cancer survivors. She's around a lot of people. I'm not really around many people because if I'm walking in New York Fashion Week or I'm modeling for a brand, I'm with photographers, I'm with models. I'm not with the community of people. And if I'm being interviewed, it's usually on Zoom or it's in a network studio. So I don't really meet people who are survivors.
Yeah.
I really don't. And I mean, I get messages all the time, but I don't physically meet them.
But you're coming to Cape Cod, right?
Yes.
So you'll get your first flatty hug.
Right. Yeah. Well,
it's important.
Yeah. No,
It
and
really is.
yeah. I'm going to actually meet the woman out in LA as well. So Yeah.
Renee. Talking about Renee.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
love Renee. She's an
lovely.
amazing human. She does
Yeah.
a lot of good work. So what would you say to somebody when they, okay, so like there's an internal body positivity and an external, like for me, the image that I put off compared to how I actually feel about myself and it is two different things in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like my podcast partner, he had top surgery, my old podcast partner, and he said, why don't we go to Pride with a button down shirt and nothing underneath it and just leave it open? I was like, let's do it. And he couldn't do it. He had it down button here and he couldn't do it because it was his first time ever being without his shirt. And it never dawned on me that that is an issue also, a little bit for them. But I was a little nervous and I was like, why? I'm topless all the time. He goes, because you're not performing. And I was like, oh, and it is a different mindset for me when I'm not performing about my body. Not this though, more of the gut.
Okay. So
It-
you wouldn't do it then. Is that what you're saying?
No, I do. I did it, and I was very happy after I did. It was very liberating. And I
Yeah.
went with my shirt and I had a couple of people come up to me and there was a couple of them that were transitioning having top surgery. It's not the same, but they're like, you helped my aunt because she saw you on stage talk about the difference. You helped her understand a little bit better,
Yeah.
but it's weird. I didn't realize the two things were different for me. And one was, yeah, I'm okay with it because I'm entertaining. And then I was like, so I struggled at first to do it on my own. If that makes sense.
Yes.
And so I think there's two different things there, how you look in public to people and how you feel and look to yourself.
Well, I think that is a really good exercise for you to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
Does that make
sense? I do it all the time now. After that realization, I'm like, why do I care? I mean, like I said, I have a pink mullet. I don't care. I don't care what people think.
I mean, hair is different than a body part.
No, it is. But I mean, I get harassed more about my hair than I do my body part. That's gone.
Oh, I was not happy when I had no hair. I mean, I was really I really missed my hair.
Yeah. How long ago was your, oh, go ahead, Megan.
It was eyebrows for me. I was like, I didn't have any,
yeah.
You couldn't make any kind of like, what do you want? What's the word I want?
Expressions.
Yeah. How do you make expressions without your eyebrows? Yeah. That was the hardest part.
Eyelashes too. That's
tough. Yeah. When they came back, that was exciting.
Yeah.
I didn't lose my eyebrows because I wanted to paint on different expressions every day, draw them on. And I was excited about it, but I didn't lose them. The nose hair was honestly the weirdest for me. Because nobody warns you about losing your nose hair and then snot just drips out. And you're at dinner, you're like, what in the world? But nobody mentions that. I
didn't have the snot problem, but I did was looking in the car one day and I was like, oh, that's weird. There's nothing in there. There's nothing to check in the nose.
Yeah. The hair part.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many parts.
There are, but that's the thing. People think, they see what chemo is on TV and that's what they think it is. I did too, because I was like, this isn't as hard as what they make it portray, all this sickness. They don't portray all the other shit that comes along. They portray just the vomiting and stuff. And I was like, this isn't that bad. I didn't throw up or anything because that's all you think it is. You get this sucker in the chemo, or an ice cream thing and the popsicle and the chemo and you're fine. You throw up though, and then you're fine. They don't tell you all the shit that comes along. And, me and a friend were talking, I said, it's like an alcoholic. Even though they get sober, they're still an alcoholic. Even though we're in remission, we still are cancerics. I don't know what the word would be, but we all have all this shit for the rest of our lives. And people don't,
there's
really acknowledge that.
There's consequences to the diagnosis. I prefer to not say I'm in remission. I'm cancer free. And it is really for me to speak it and to think it and to say it. I need that. Everybody's different. Because remission is implying that it's still there. I mean, the definition it literally implies it's still there. And I don't think it is in any of us.
I agree with you on that. I don't say it anyway. I'm just like, yeah, I'm cancer free.
I think remission, I think the definition of, let me look up the definition of remission. I think it implies that it is still there.
Huh.
Yeah, it's called
That's why they say,
it's basically called it's a reduction.
Yeah.
So I don't want to think it's a reduction. It's gone.
well, no. Yeah. I always say, yeah, I'm cancer free.
You're cancer free. You are cancer
That's what I
free.
say. That's what I usually say. But so
I like-
Megan, have you had any struggles with like clothes to wear and stuff like that being different? Because I see that a lot in the group. People are like, oh, I don't know how to wear now. And I'm like, anything you want.
In general, I don't have a whole lot of issue with it, but I'm also someone who works in kind of like a manufacturing industry. So I wear a lot of t-shirts and jeans. So it hasn't changed the shape of my clothes most of the time. But like on occasions when I need to get dressed up and I want to wear something a little bit nicer, there are clothes with darts that I'm like, well, what do I do with this? And how do I don't want to have to alter all of my clothes all the time. And so I find myself shopping for clothes that are like specifically for certain styles, like really kind of wafy, hippy dippy, like for lack of a better kind of genre, clothes that people who are naturally flat and thin shop for. There's styles specifically that they shop for that I find myself looking for just because stylistically they don't have to be altered.
Yes.
I don't have to worry about it. I don't wear, things that come with darts anymore, and I shop around them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So mostly it doesn't change all the time because I'm wearing, hoodies, t-shirts, and things that don't require a lot of adjustment. But when I need to get dressed up, it takes a little bit more work and being more conscientious of what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Have you guys ever thought about wearing prosthetics?
No.
I mean,
No, I was never interested. They wrote me a prescription for prosthetics and I just like filed it away and never reached for it again.
Me too.
I did a one. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I did a one-person show called Scars for Fringe, and I got a sports bra from Tomboy X, and the cancer center, my friend that does the prosthetics, she had two. They were mixed match sizes. I wear them at the beginning of my show because I am also on my cane. Because everybody assumes if you had breast cancer, you get implants. They don't assume anything else. So if they didn't know me coming to my show, they see me and they're like, oh, she had breast cancer, but she got boobs. And then at the end, when I come out without a shirt on totally, and that's the only reason, oh, they're so uncomfortable. The whole bra thing. Why would anybody want to wear a bra again if you don't have to? I mean, I'm just like, no. But they're not comfortable. The prosthetics aren't comfortable to me.
I've never tried one on. I never got it filled, but I get messages from people from other countries who cannot leave their house without it on. Culture.
Yeah, I don't.
Yep.
Not.
Yeah.
I never considered them. My mom had ovarian cancer a few years before I had my cancer, and she had an elective double mastectomy to just prevent breast cancer.
Yes.
And she wears prosthetics from time to time. They're very small and they're just kind of like a filler for her in terms of her comfort with her body image. But she doesn't wear them very often, and they're kind of like, why are you even bothering with these things? Like, just leave them. Nobody else needs that to identify you as you. So just to each their own. But
do you think people wear them more for other people than they do themselves?
I think for my mom, it's a matter of getting her clothes to look the way that they used to when she wears them. Like when she puts on dresses, she wants the dresses to look the way they used to.
Yeah.
It's not for her or for anyone. It's just kind of like it makes the clothing feel better when she puts them on. She's always irritated with them because they slide all over the place and they don't stay where she wants them to go. But
I had one flatty here in town tell me that her family says, will you put your foobs in so you look normal? And I'm like, what? That's why we've got to normalize flat, because this is normal. This is normal. I feel more comfortable in my body than I ever have. I never would have gone around in just a sports bra and not a t-shirt. And now I go around topless. I'm like,
I had my first experience jogging without boobs because I hadn't gone. I used to run. I was a runner in high school, and I used to run, like that was my form of exercise that I preferred. And I hadn't done it since basically my diagnosis with not feeling good from treatment. And so I just started jogging again this spring, and I went without no sports bra, running without boobs is like the best thing that nobody ever tells you.
Working out in general without boobs in the bra, and
Yeah.
you know, it does.
There's lots
It
of
is
fun.
amazing.
There's
So,
lots of
Christine, how for you being a model? I mean, when you first had to have your implants taken out, and you
Mhm.
looked at your body, how did you really react being a model? Were you like, I'm done, or you, because you're so strong-headed, I'm sure you were like, okay, let's go do this and let's be a Victoria's Secrets model right off the bat. But I mean, was it that easy just to go, yes, this is who I am now?
No, I mean, I think for me, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I never imagined waking up without a chest. I just didn't. I just thought this is what you do. You put implants in, you put expanders in, then you put implants in, and life goes on and everything's going to work out. And
Mhm.
my implants didn't work out. And to be honest with you, in 2012, 13, when I had mastectomies, I'd never heard of aesthetic flat closure. I'd never heard of it.
Right.
And I didn't have any contemporaries. I didn't know anybody who had it. And so I don't know that I ever would have thought of it. I don't think I ever would have said to my doctor, what about not putting anything in here? It never even occurred to me. And maybe that makes me naive. I don't know.
Mhm.
And so when my implants were taken out, I just had never imagined myself without a chest. And this was years after my breast cancer diagnosis. And so when I digested it, and really because the infection was so long in my chest and so damaging to my tissue and to my skin, there was really not an option to go back
Mhm.
to anything.
Yeah.
And so, that took a little bit to digest, but it was almost like, well, first of all, the physical pain of a MRSA infection in your implants, and then to go through that again. It was like, I think on the insurance paper said I had 3 third and fourth mastectomies. So imagine having 4 mastectomies. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And so once I finally was through the physical duress, which was grotesque, you guys know what a mastectomy feels like, then I really just woke up one day and said, if I feel this different, if I feel this, whatever I'm feeling, this emotional duress, and I have a support system, and I don't have to go to work tomorrow, right? Some people do. And I can rely on my friends and my family, and I have a community. Imagine the women that don't and that are going through this. And my brain immediately said to myself, you've got to go back to modeling. And it was that quick. And I just was like, okay, I have to help people, because I just had never imagined it for me. And so I wasn't in these groups because I didn't know it existed. And so then when I became flat, people in these groups would reach out to me and go, oh, did you know there was a flat group? No, I didn't know that. And so then I became more engaged with the groups, but I never went back to modeling to model again. I never wanted to, I didn't really want to model again. I mean, it's not that I was like, oh, I want to go work again. I had a lot of other things going on at the time, but I wanted to show this in New York Fashion Week. I wanted to show it in Miami Swim Week in a bathing suit. I wanted to show it with big brands, because the bigger the audience, the bigger the impact, and the more people that could go, hey, if she can do that, then maybe I can do this, right?
Right.
And maybe it gives a voice to, this is an option.
Yep.
Because people should have options. And if they don't know, if they aren't aware, which I wasn't aware of it, then how do they know that's an option? They don't. So visibility is critical.
Sure.
So no, it
That's
wasn't overnight.
Well,
But-
I know how strong-headed and strong-willed you are, and so I figured it wasn't something that it was just a poor me thing. I think, I didn't think that. I figured it was probably something like, okay, this is the new me. What are we going to do with it? Type thing. And for me, it wasn't that. I posted, a picture, and somebody reported me for nudity, and at that point, I was just like, what? Didn't know there were groups, but I had people take my picture to go flat here in Indy. I know probably 20 people that are flat that aren't from the groups.
Right.
And then I found the groups in 19. I joined one of the flat groups. I didn't even know flatties is what the word was. I didn't know there were flat groups. I didn't know that's what they called it. I just said cut them off. You know, I never even said flat until I found the groups. And then we had a meetup in California. And I was like, oh, I want to go out there and perform. So, you know, I go back and forth to perform. And I went out there and it changed my life being around these people that were just like me, that actually understood and got it exactly.
Right.
You know, it was like, okay. And I've gone to so many meetups now, and you know, I
Yes.
love it. I love it because the community, it's not a group that you would ever want to be a part of, but once you are, you're like, oh yeah, these are my people. It's
Well,
pretty
that's
amazing.
the power of storytelling. That's the power
Mhm.
of community. That's the power of doing what we do, because nobody wants to feel alone or isolated or like they're different, right? We're not different. We're the same. Not, and I mean, in a group, we're human, right? We are, we've been dealt a difficult hand with a cancer diagnosis, and we've made choices within that, but I'm the same person. So
Yeah.
I think that can get confused in the world we live in.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. And I am not against anybody wearing FUBs. If that's what they feel like they need to do it. The only problem I have with it is, and a friend of mine from high school went and got her mammogram because of me when I was going through it.
Yeah.
I was at her surgery. I forget she's flat because she always wears FUBs. And as long as everybody keeps wearing FUBs, and I'm not judging the people that do, because I get why they do. People aren't going to see us, and they're not going to know that that's an option. You know, like I have a friend getting hers taken out tomorrow, and I have another friend getting some put in tomorrow.
I think that there's definitely people out there showing it. So don't
And
worry
we
about
need, no, I know. I just love that are doing that now, because that wasn't a thing back then. Because everybody wore FUBs. Grandparents were uniboobs. More times than not, the grandparents were all uniboobs. They only
Right.
removed the one, and you know, but it
Right.
was never talked about or seen. And so now that's what I mean. We've got to be seen and we got to be heard. And that's why I like it, because not everybody's wearing the FUBs. And so we are being able to be
It's
seen.
a big group. It's a big group. It's a growing group, and it's a loud group. So don't worry
Mhm.
about the people that are wearing
Oh
prosthetics.
no. Oh no. You know, I always I forgot. I didn't even invite her to the group for over a year of having the group because I forgot she was flat.
Well,
I'm horrible.
yeah.
But no,
But again, body positivity, people have to do
Mhm.
what they are comfortable with.
Absolutely. And I agree with that
Right.
100%. So,
And I feel
but I
totally.
don't know.
Yeah, I think
How do you go
what's
ahead?
that?
Go ahead,
I
Megan.
was just saying that, like, I think for me the choice was a practical choice because I looked at it like, well, I had the option to do a lumpectomy at the first and then see what they found and decide after that. And I was like, I would like to reduce the number of times that I have to have a surgery. So let's just
Yeah.
go gung ho from the get and like have the mastectomy instead of worrying about having to go back. I did talk to my surgeon about doing breast reconstruction with my own body tissue, and I just didn't have enough to really make it a surgery that the surgeon felt comfortable performing, and I didn't really want to stretch the limits of like, am I going to be happy with the results, or am I going to be like, these boobs are not the boobs that I've really finally, after 35 years, grown to like and love, or are they going to be weird and different and I'm going to have to get used to it all over again? So let's just go be done with them and get used to that and not have to adjust and hopefully not have to revisit this decision later. And it's like, I have a son. I don't want to have surgery after surgery after surgery and be worried about how am I going to care for my child. And it's like, let's just get used to this and move forward one time.
One and done is what I say.
You're very practical.
Yeah. let's just, one time is enough. Let's not do it more than we have to.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I had revisions. I mean, probably 3 on each side. I probably wasted 7 or 8 surgeries. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a lot. And I had a lumpectomy. I had a lumpectomy when I was diagnosed with cancer first. Then I had mastectomy. Then I had the other side mastectomy. Then I had a couple revisions on each side. And then I had the 3rd and 4th mastectomies because of the implant. So
yeah, I wouldn't call it wasted because I mean, every journey is an individual journey, but
that's true. That's true.
It
It
just,
wasn't wasted. Yeah. Cause now, and people will ask me too, because I've had both. I've had the implants and now I have flat. They'll say to me like, okay, well, help me out here. And I
you can
guess
speak to both
I
decisions
can,
at this point. You
yeah,
know what it's like to do both,
yeah. And I know what it feels like to do both.
for sure.
My friend that's getting hers removed tomorrow, she said, if I would have known what I know now, and I said, you'd still do the same thing. I said, have you ever dated somebody that everybody said, that's horrible decision, don't do it, but you had to find out on your own?
Yeah.
I said, I don't think you would have, I don't know if you would have changed your decision, because we tell people, people see it and people hear it and they still choose it. I mean, if you're gung ho on, you think you have to have them to feel okay with your body, you're going to do it. I said, I don't know, but now you have a story to be able to help people, look at it that way too.
I think a lot of people, including myself, had never really understood the ramifications of breast implant illness. I
Mhm.
didn't know there was anything attached to the implants, meaning like, I remember years and years and years ago, there was a question about silicone versus saline. And
Yeah.
people were like, oh, don't get silicone or say, I can't even remember the one. I think it was silicone. I never heard of a thing called breast implant illness ever in my life until I got it. And then I was
I
like,
Yeah. I was
But-
fortunate or unfortunate enough. I had a friend who had like a birth growth development defect. So she was uneven from her development phase, not related to breast cancer. And she had implants for balance for her own image. And she got breast implant illness through that. So I knew about it before my own surgery decision came up, but not related to breast cancer at all.
right. Well, and a lot of the breast implant illnesses have nothing to do with breast cancer patients.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it's the most popular plastic surgery in the country is breast
Oh.
implants. That has nothing to do with breast cancer.
Augmentation. Yeah.
Augmentation. And so there's a whole group of people that are getting sick out there. And I think that that's just important information. People can make their
Right.
decisions based on the information that they have. If that nobody's saying that this exists or this could happen, they can't really make a proper decision. And that's not fair.
Right.
That's what
I
drives
make a joke because, they give you any medicine they give you this list of possible side effects. And they don't seem to do that with implants. And every set of implants have a black box label. And like I said, I'm
Now-
not against you getting implants if you know what you're getting into. My problem is I smoked for 23 years and I knew it could kill me. I carried around the box with the label. Maybe if they had to carry around the box with the black label on it,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they actually got to see that,
Right.
maybe it would make a difference. But the doctors are lying, and and they're not even, the amount of breast implant illness cases is not even close to accurate.
Yes. I've been
What's-
told that. Yeah, I've been told
Yeah,
that.
it's not even close because the doctors won't acknowledge it
No,
as
it's
that.
big money.
Oh yeah, big money. So what would you say, Christine? What is your biggest takeaway or give to somebody about body image after being flat? What would you say to help them?
I mean, I think beauty is always internal. I think beauty is an inside job. I mean, I think that should be like on my tombstone. Beauty is an inside job. If I don't feel good about myself, how can I feel beautiful? You have to
Mhm.
feel good about yourself inside. And so that's what exudes out of people. And we can put on masks and facades, and I did that for many years. I was like, oh, I have to have this bag because I feel less than, right? But if you put it in those terms, then people understand it, because the world teaches us that we need those things to feel and look beautiful. We don't need those things. What we do need to do is work on our insides. That means our self-worth, our self-esteem, our self-love. And if we don't practice that, then we get out of feeling self-love. And so it's really like, I talk to people all the time and just say, it's like going to the gym. If you spend 30 minutes at the gym, you should spend X amount of time working on your self-care and your self-love. That's critical to decision-making. And so if I want to walk into your fashion week flat or Miami swim week in a bathing suit at my age, and I'm not doing the work, the self-care work, I'm going to be more fearful of being on that runway. But I did the internal work and I did the self-esteem work, and my self-esteem is unstoppable. but I'm also not rooted in anybody's opinion of me or any external value or any materialism or any false idols that I may have had in my past. I believe in me and what I can do to help other people, and serving is my only measure. So I think
Yeah.
self-work, self-care, self-love is critical.
I agree with that 100%. Matter of fact, I talked to a friend today and I said, a friend of mine said, why you, when I was diagnosed? And I said, why not? So I answered it with another question, but I said today, I can answer that with the answer now, because this is why.
Well, we can be a victim or we can be a vine. It really is a
Mhm.
choice. What's your
Yeah,
focus?
that's
We can focus on one or the other.
better or better.
We should end with
And
that. Gonna be a victim
you
or
know,
a vine.
yeah, I do. I like that. And, I've always said, it'll make you bitter, it'll make you better. And it made me a better person. And I am a better person just as a whole, and I am more confident than I ever was before, for sure. Just overall, am I heavier than I used to be? Yeah. You know what? I don't care anymore. It's me. Love me or don't. I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that really, I think the breast cancer and going flat really has helped me figure out about me and to love me truly,
Good for you. Yeah.
So, but I think it takes time. I think it does. Sometimes it does take some time. It didn't happen overnight for me, that's for sure. And
Yeah, it's a journey.
you're only how far out? Just not even a year, are you?
From my mastectomy,
Yeah, when was it?
a year and a half, year
Yeah.
and change. Yeah, it was December 2021.
Well, I think you're doing pretty well for that, just that recent too,
Thanks. It's a
So,
journey. We a little bit every day.
Yeah.
for sure,
It's
for
nice to
sure.
meet you, Megan.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you for having me join you today.
Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Happy to. Happy to.
All right,
right,
we'll talk
Katie.
to you soon.
Hopefully we've inspired somebody today.
Hopefully,
Yes.
even just one person. It's worth it.
Just one person.
So.
Flat Out Secrets with Christine Handy and Sears.